Alrighty, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Today we are going to be reviewing Days Gone. Alrighty, so Days Gone starts out with your pretty rough looking biker dude. You're seeking answers for your dead wife. And then overall you're just smashing random zombies in marauders' faces, which is a pretty good thing. Days Gone does have some down features. There are bugs such as he yells when he's in the middle of a stealth mission that kind of ruins your stealth, and then you end up using a whole clip of ammo. The excessive hordes I found, there are quite a few places around the map where you just find these huge, over 100 strong hordes, and it is just terrible because like there's nothing more satisfying than clearing it, but it is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of busy work on the map between campaigns and places, and it's kind of a lot of repetitive missions that just adds up to busy work. Dinkin St. John is a pretty sweet and caring protagonist for being a rough biker guy. Overall, he has pretty good character development, and he just does a pretty good job at keeping the story interesting, in my opinion. One thing that Sony really did a great job is they made the bikes feel great to ride, and I guess that's kind of the point. Since it is like a biker game, that's something you gotta nail right on the head to make it feel great. One of the other sides that I saw to it is that there are quite a lot of flashbacks at the beginning when you are doing the mission, settling your past, and they aren't really interactive. You kind of just like sit through a cutscene, which I found to be a little bit better because there's more like watching a movie. And even though they weren't interactive, I really never lost interest or anything. I felt like there was a good mixture between the cutscenes taking time and then you being able to go through the large open world map. So the bad guys in there's a lot of minor antagonists that aren't really bad for any particular reason. They're just bad for the sake of being bad, which is kind of a drag since there's not a lot of stuff such as like the Marauders and Rippers, which are like the bicycle gangs that like wait and ambush you on the side of the road. I think one of the only problems I have with this is that there's not a lot of super in-depth discussion about that, and I feel like I'd wish there was some more like character development towards all of the antagonists. The land, it's a very large open world, and it holds very few surprises, and it feels like you are just constantly trying to get from one place to another to find a gas can to refill your bike so you can keep going or get back to where you were. It's pretty sparse with buildings when it's supposed to be like an inhabited place. Like the inside and outside with the sparsity and just not very developed makes it hard to believe that it was like a livable town before the apocalypse. And even towards the end of it, but especially at the beginning, I felt like it was very difficult to tell where you are because the terrain's pretty similar for being supposed to being like a rough biker guy living in Oregon with a zombie apocalypse. Like it's not very differentiated throughout the place. Like there's a lot of places that look the exact same since the vegetation and buildings are just so sparse. The combat in this game is awesome. The combat between the Marauders, Rippers, and Ambushers is very satisfying. At the very beginning, you can unlock a focus ability, which allows you to take some of the pressure off you in fast-paced scenarios so that you can get those headshots, land them, clear the mobs. There's a large variety of weapons you get to use, such as melee weapons, handguns, rifles, crossbows. All of them are pretty satisfying, but there's nothing more satisfying than just that hitting that crossbow bolt right where it needs to go. The melee is awesome. There's nothing more satisfying than bashing heads with a melee weapon, whether that be something that you crafted, such as a baseball bat with nails or spikes, or a hatchet or a pickaxe, it's very satisfying. Feels like you land every single hit, and it's super great. Stealth in this game, although I've heard people say it's pretty easy for being a stealth game, I still found it to be relatively difficult, where it would be pretty rough in certain parts, because like, although they say they're pretty spread out, the line of sight is pretty far for these characters. I don't know how far, but it's pretty easy for them to see you. But yeah, it's pretty rough, and they have all these traps around that like make noise and stuff so they can spot you if you go in, or bear traps. But I'd say it's very good. So I'd say the biggest problem with this game is the repetition. So it's kind of like the same throughout the game, where Deacon comes across these survivor camps and then ends up having to do a list of missions for them, which basically just unlocks you new weapons when you get high enough level of trustedness in the camp, or bike upgrades, which when you're riding a bike, it's great because the bike upgrades with the upgrades feels awesome, makes it a lot better from when you first begin. The benefits of this game is that there is tons of open world, lots of exploration. You can go gather, you can go hunting, you can go gather, whether that's flowers or herbs or berries to take back to camp, which is pretty fun. I found the hunting is pretty awesome, as you can like shoot the animal and then track it through the woods, which is pretty awesome. There's tons of freakers all throughout the entire game, so that helps keep you entertained, since it's pretty rough, since it's a lot of mobs going from one point to another on the map, just everywhere. You can also fast travel. I haven't really used that because I find I enjoy taking my time and just exploring the map and going out on it. Some cons for this are there is audio missync or loss. It doesn't happen very often. It's just during certain things, and then you restart the game and it's better, but that's something that they could fix. There's pretty major frame dips when you're entering a new place, and it's like the game is having to render it in. And this is when on 1080p 240 hertz refresh rate with a 1080, so I mean that's a pretty high-end computer. The textures do pop in and out sometimes. It's not super noticeable, but it's kind of like when it's like first rendering in, or if you like fast travel. The other cons that I really hated were the Nora camps, where you'd get a stim shot that would upgrade your health or your stamina. It was very consistently a drag, either replacing fuses or filling up the generators or clearing the monsters or cutting down the speakers, which all pretty much sucked. That was kind of the biggest drag of this game, is those Nora camps. Because like even the interactive or the non-interactive, when you'd have the stealth missions, when you just follow people and listen to their conversations, was a lot better than that. And then the last thing is that the bike is pretty fragile, and it takes a lot of damage from small things such as like rough riding, which all the terrain in that game is hella rough. There's no like flat ground at all. There's always obstructions in the road. You can't even run over zombies, which kind of sucks because it does quite a lot of damage to your bike. But yeah, other than that, I think overall I'd probably rate this game at like an 8.5 out of 10. So it's pretty decent. There are some things that could be fixed to make it better, but honestly I enjoyed this pretty good. I know that the overall idea of other people reviewing this hasn't been super great, but I thought it was a pretty good game.